Pokemon collection I bought recently and thought this would be a great chance to do a live stream and kind of go through it. Super happy that YouTube got rid of that 1,000 subscriber requirement to do a live stream. So starting to do a little bit more with like playing Diablo 4 right now, and Final Fantasy 16 comes out this week. I'm doing some more gameplay videos, and even though I haven't done any real videos for quite some time now, just raising family, got kids and everything, it takes up a lot of time. I'd like to get back to doing some videos, and behind the scenes still very busy in Pokemon, buying a ton of product and selling it more locally, but then also collecting a lot of cards too. As a kid, I kind of gave up after base set collecting cards for close to 20 years. Got back into it late 2019, early 2020. So back in it for 3.5 years now already, and met some amazing creators and shared our collection, shared pictures and everything. So I'd like to go back kind of to the roots and again show off some of these collections that I'm buying of the old Wizards of the Coast era. So I opened half of it before I realized, like, hey, I should save these for a video. So it's been like a week and a half now, and super excited. Also got a couple other things in the mail I'll open up first. Let's start with this. I won't show my address or anything. Got a sweet box cutter from my days of working in the grocery store as a kid. Bought our house about 7 years ago, and my parents have been pretty much moving all of my stuff out of their house into ours. And one of the things that was in there was my collection of box cutters from the grocery store. So that's been pretty cool to go through some of that old stuff. Okay, keep that off to the side. But some booster boxes from Tap Start Games in South Carolina. Got a good deal on Paldea Evolved. So I got 3 booster boxes of that. All look to be in pretty good shape. Sword and Shield era kind of had some loose wrapping errors, I think, because they're cranking out products so fast. Nice to see with Scarlet and Violet base set and then Paldea Evolved. It looks like these boxes are in pretty good shape. So paid about $100 for those, so not too bad. Also got Pokemon Center order. Kind of regretting I only ordered 2 since all these Pokemon Center ETBs are selling out right away. I'm glad I got the Obsidian Flames and the Pokemon 151. I was able to get those before they sold out, but got 2 Paldea Evolved ETBs. I think the biggest seller behind these is the fact that they have a Pokemon Center logo promo, so you get the regular and then the Pokemon Center logo as well. Last thing here is a collection I bought off of Facebook. I've been having some good luck there as well. I can't remember what I bought this lot for. Pretty well packed here. So first thing, I think I paid $40. Came with a Pikachu Shining Fates box. Is that missing a pack? Might be missing a pack. It's supposed to be 4, but can't see that one back there. So my thought was I could sell this locally for, $15-20. Yeah, not sure what's going on with that one. Also included a Morpeko mat from the Crown Zenith, however you pronounce it, collection. Always in need of new mats. It's kind of nice when they include those in sets coming out. The main reason I bought the collection, though, was all these bulk cards. I think he said there were 1,500. including some evolutions. So I'm not going to go through all these right now, but just looking at the top, my absolute favorite Pokemon is Charmander. Ooh, nice. So we got some rares here. Uncommon. He had mentioned it's all mostly unsorted. 1,500 cards. He thought that there were a couple hundred rares, a few hundred energy and trainers, and then about 1,000 common and uncommon. So yeah, I think I paid like 40, 45 bucks for the whole lot. That was very well packed. So check out your local Facebook groups because there is some decent finds there. But what I'm mainly interested in is going through this Wizards of the Coast era collection that I got again from a Facebook group. I'm trying to remember what I paid for that. I think I paid $70. Oh, and I lost my sweet box cutter. This room's kind of a mess. I'm transitioning some of the room here. So I've got a little bit of chaos in the background, luckily, but you can't see. There it is. Careful here, they are luckily all in top loaders, but not a huge fan how they were packed. I was just happy they showed up. It was the other, negative about the Facebook groups, and especially when you're sending money through like Venmo or PayPal, where it's not a purchase. The seller wants to save a little bit on the fees, which I understand, but can get kind of dicey, kind of sketchy. So there were a couple of red flags to it that I'm like, well, someone's gonna scam me for, $70, 75 bucks. It's one thing, but I see some people in the groups get thousands of dollars where they just send it unsecured. Like that's the point where I would definitely do it as a purchase, since it's guaranteed. If it doesn't show up, or if it's fake, someone put random cards or whatever in there. My favorite part about the blade is, so Gavi was a guy I worked with. Gavi's sweet cutter, and it says don't touch the blade. So yeah. Probably 14, 15 years old working at that grocery store, so who would have thought that a blade would be sharp? Dang. Well, these cards weren't going anywhere, that's for sure. So yeah, one of my collector goals is to complete a set of, basically, I'd like to do the whole WOTC era, but for sure the base set era, which I got really close with base set and jungle, and probably fossil too. A few cards I was missing from each back in the day, but obviously sold that collection when I was a kid, traded a bunch of them off, and then sold the rest for pennies on the dollar what they're worth now, and never went beyond. Team Rocket was kind of where I stopped collecting, so I'd like to get a complete collection of them all, but some of them are hard to find, in good shape, and expensive when you can find them. So I'll start just going through here. These ones I have not peeked at all. None of them I've taken out yet, so I know just looking at them, a lot of them look pretty good. I think I can probably take a Q-tip to some of these and clean them up a bit, but quite a few commons and uncommons in here. Jungle's the main set I'm trying to complete first, so it's nice to see quite a few of those in here. Don't think any of them are shadowless or first edition, so I do kind of have a rare pile going, so it looks like a few more rares. War Turtle, love that old artwork. Ooh, Squirrel from Rocket. Yeah, a lot of these, like I said, Rocket I didn't collect too much on, but I had a friend that was collecting alongside of me that bought a lot of Team Rocket, so I've seen these artworks before, and pretty cool to have them in my collection now. And Jungle. Jungle is probably my favorite set. Jungle and Fossil bring back probably the most memories for me. There's that Charmander. Love Charmander. I'm gonna go for try to find as many Charmander PSA 10s as I can, or send them in to try to get PSA 10s. Complete a master set. Beedrill I remember is rare. Yep. Jigglypuff. I do have a PSA 9 first edition version of Jigglypuff, but love that artwork. Magmar. Yeah, I remember pulling some of these out of booster packs as a kid, so it's pretty cool to kind of relive this again. Ooh, forgot Dragonite was in here. Looks like edges are maybe a little rough, but need to find a hollow version of that card. All right, so let's just start with the rares and kind of take it from there. Let's see. One, two, some of these are sticky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 rares. I think this whole lot was about 120 cards. And yeah, I paid, I think, $75 shipped. So all in all, I think a pretty good deal. So yeah, obviously take a Q-tip to some of this, but some of that is just in there. But since they're just going into my master set, I'm not too worried about them. So I'm gonna take these are kind of grimy sleeves, so I'm gonna put them in penny sleeves and then transfer them into my own binder where they will hopefully remain for ever. We'll see what my kids decide, if they want to continue, or collect like I do, or if they just want to sell it when I get old and die. Beedrill, classic artwork. I remember Evolutions. Man, I pulled so many Beedrill. Never did pull the Charizard from Evolutions. Probably opened 100 packs. I think I got one of the Blastoises was the best that I pulled from Evolutions. Hitmonlee, I think I have a first edition of this one, but overall looks pretty good. So yeah, again, I'll put a plug for any Facebook group you can join. Can usually strike up deals there. Some people are just either not into Pokemon and come into collections, or oh, there's a crease there, or just looking to get some cash and buy it for something else. I think this guy doesn't really collect too much Pokemon. He collects mostly sports cards, but he buys lots that sometimes have Pokemon cards in them, so he was willing to offer them up pretty cheap. Didn't really ask for condition. He put some pictures on there, so a lot of these are I'd say light played to moderate played, where the value goes down, but I would be surprised if this collection is worth less than even $100. Some of these cards, that Dragonite alone. All right, a little bit of creasing on Clefable. Back not so great. The other thing about a master set too is I can always trade up for a better condition one if I find it, or find another collection, swap them out. I don't know that any of these are able to be graded for very high grades, maybe if they were first edition. Base set 2, that was I remember the day base set 2 came out, I had pulled a base set Charizard from a booster pack when I was a kid. That was my best pull, kind of a dream come true type of day. My mom bought a random pack from the store, pulled a Charizard, and on release day of base set 2, I went to the card shop that I grew up near, and they traded me two full booster boxes of base set 2 for that one Charizard card. So at the time, I'm like, heck yeah, you get 2 full booster boxes for one single card. Like, it seemed like a steal of a lifetime, but looking back on it, I'm like, man, I should have kept that Charizard in better shape, what it would be worth today. But a lot of my cards, I actually played with, I took them out, I looked at them. So I remember probably 6-7 years ago, I sold the rest of my old collection, and I had a Blastoise base set 2. And that thing, the edges on that were not great, so I can only imagine what that Charizard would have actually looked like. So at the time, it seemed like a pretty good deal. Maybe it was, but kind of wish I would have kept it. Snorlax is in pretty good shape, a little white on the bottom there, but overall not too bad. So yeah, no hollows in this set, but quite a few cards. You think like Jungle and Fossil, I think we're both only 60. Fossil was 62, I believe. Jungle was 64 sets or cards in the set. So between that's what is that 126 plus 102, and base set is 238 plus how many is Rocket? 82. So what is that, like 300, almost 330 between those 4 sets. So if I bought 112 here, we're talking like a third. Like, granted, not the more valuable in the sets, but knocked off a pretty decent chunk of the list. Kind of narrows down like what I'll actually be looking for, and then at that point, like I was mentioning, I can always trade a couple not so great cards maybe for a better conditioned one. Or if I somehow win the lottery, win millions of dollars, I can go for a PSA 10 set. I do at times wish that they'd come back with the first edition stamp. I know like how heavy scalping already is. It probably would be worse if they had first edition, but it was just always nice knowing like that was the best. You were the first to get that set. Yu-Gi-Oh! Does it still to this day where they'll do a first edition, and then if it's a popular set, I'm trying to remember, Toon Chaos was one recently where it was such a popular set that they did make an unlimited version, and then all of a sudden the first edition shot way up. So yeah, the way Pokemon is, it probably would backfire, probably wouldn't be the best idea, but ditto. Love that artwork. I remember the holo back in the day. That one really popped. So getting to the end of the rares here. Flareon. Just need to get Vaporeon now. Then I think I have a first edition Flareon. So all in all, getting those out of their kind of dirty sleeves. Wow. I have no fingernails, I chew them, so hard to grab sometimes, but quite a nice little collection started there for the rares. And yeah, just gonna follow through and keep doing this process for all the other cards. These ones, obviously, a little bit of damage isn't gonna increase or decrease their value too much. Some of the uncommons go for quite a bit, but most of them, not really. Probably could organize and start doing my Jungle Master set. guess I think I have my... Yeah, I do have my master set right here. Hard to get it all in this angle, but yeah, not much for base set. Got a Magikarp, a Wartortle, Charmander. Can't really see it there. Pikachu. Got most of the trainers, energies. Jungle, there's my first edition. I've got Flareon, Nidoqueen, non-hollows. I got Venomoth, Victory Bell, Wigglytuff. Pokeball, I think that was the only trainer in Jungle. And yep, I do have Hitmonlee first edition, Zapdos first edition, and then I believe there were 5 trainers in Fossil, and I have those. So, start filling out that collection a little bit. Grab some more penny sleeves here. I've been going with the cardboard gold. I found that those are pretty nice and cheap. You can order a case of 10,000 usually for like $65, something like that. So not too bad. Decent thickness to them too. Zubat. Yeah, Fossil, that was another fun set. I remember when all these sets came out initially. I was in grade school at the time, but it's just crazy how your memory, like I can remember being in the card shop, pulling some of these cards as a kid, being so excited to see the artworks and putting them in the binder, trading with your friends. These were so popular in elementary school that our school actually banned them because kids were like fighting, they were stealing each other's cards and just kind of causing a commotion. So they did end up actually banning them. But I had a couple close friends and I that collected, and then eventually kind of got bullied a little bit into not collecting them anymore, because the cool thing was, you know, video games at the time, Diablo had come out, Diablo 2 came out, and then some of the older kids were into Magic the Gathering and thought that Pokemon was kind of lame. So kind of got bullied a little bit into not collecting anymore, and it just bums me out that I missed out on a lot of sets, a lot of cards. Like who knows what would have been if I would have kept collecting. But here we are in my 30s, right back at it, and now daughter's gonna be 4 here pretty soon. Hoping she'll kind of take a little bit of the collector bug from me. And video games, I've got 1,500 physical games in my other office that I'm hoping to preserve for a while. A lot of it is kind of a push towards digital these days, but as we've seen with some titles that just disappear from the shop for whatever reason, the rights to the license expire or whatever, just end up taking them off of the store and then lost forever almost, unless you have the physical version. So some of the older games are so expensive. Same with the rise in Pokemon cards, other trading cards, with how expensive everything got. Was some of those older retro games got way overpriced. Like, you used to be able to find the cheap like N64 sports games for $1 a piece, and man, even nowadays some of those are $10 starting. I remember buying, I was going for a full N64 collection at one point. I think I have about 180 out of I think there's 296 or 297. And one of the games I bought in probably 2018 was Super Bowling. One of my local game stores had a pristine copy for, I want to say it was $30. So as I was going towards that collection, that was one of the kind of harder to find ones. And I think right around 2020, I decided with how much some of those games shot up, I was going to be done trying to complete a collection, because Clay Fighters Sculptor's Cut is just as good as 63 and a third, and Sculptor's Cut is I don't know, last time I checked it was a $500 game just for the cartridge, and 63 and a third probably played just the same, maybe a little bit worse than Sculptor's Cut. Sculptor's Cut was a Blockbuster exclusive, and from my understanding, they count it in the official North American release list, but I believe the store managers were supposed to destroy the copies. So, you gotta think one per Blockbuster, even if there were a few thousand Blockbuster, that's not a ton of copies. And then if some of the stores complied and actually destroyed them, that takes less out of the market. And then you find them with like a case or a manual. All they did at Blockbuster was display them. I think those are like $2,000 last I checked. So anyway, the Super Bowling game, I think I sold it in 2020. When I bought it for $30, I sold it for like $270, some ridiculous amount. I have no idea what it's. I'm not gonna check now, because if it's a $500 game now, I'm gonna kick myself a little bit. But it made sense at the time. It was not the best game. A lot of those N64 games were just kind of shuffleware, where they're just get them out the door, get some games that people will play. Not as many options back then as there were today, so people would pretty much buy every game that came out. And there's another bowling game, I think it's called like Milo's Astro Lanes for N64, that was just as good, in my opinion, of a bowling game for a lot less. And with that 270, I probably bought a couple other, I think around the time I was getting a couple of Super Nintendo games I was still looking for. Still have quite a few to cross off my list, but I was able to get like Breath of Fire 1 and 2, Lufia, a couple others. So yeah, it's pretty crazy looking and seeing 1,500 games on a shelf, but at the same time, like, I wish if I could go back, I would have maybe gone for quality over quantity, because there's a couple RPGs that are just so far out of the price range now that kind of wish I would have picked those up instead. Suikoden 2, Suikoden, however you pronounce it. I have the first one, I have the fourth and the fifth, but I'm missing the second and the third. The second one is like $200 now for a PS1. Great game, but I don't know, I have a hard time paying $200 for a game. I bitch enough about a $70 PS5 game. Although I have been playing Diablo 4. Haven't had a ton of time to play it as much as I'd like, but it's pretty good. It's being as big of a D2 player as I've played in my lifetime. Like, obviously there's people that are comparing it and think that the two can't just coexist. I definitely think they can. I think they took a lot of creative direction with Diablo 4, and I don't know, I think it paid off. It'll be interesting to see what they do. The biggest thing is the mounts, although you don't get them, I think, until like Act 4, so kind of late in the game. So I'm in Act 2, Act 3. The interesting thing about Diablo 4 is you don't necessarily need to follow them in order. Like, I've been doing some Act 3 quests before some of the Act 2 ones that I've been doing. But just all the side quests and running back, and even when you unlock some of the waypoints, man, some of those you have to travel quite a ways just to get back to. So it'll be nice to have the mounts, but the renown system I think is really cool. There's 5 tiers essentially, so the more stuff you do in each zone, you get rewards. You get a gold reward for the character. It's kind of funny because the gold reward is like, it just gives it to your, it says just on the account that you're on, but your gold's shared across all your characters. So I'd say it's still an account wide, since you can share that gold, but then you get a secondary reward for each renown tier that does apply to your other characters. So you get like extra skill points, you get extra potion capacity, which can be really helpful. Sometimes when you're, creating ults, it kind of feels like you're grinding everything all over again. So it's nice having those like extra potions on your ults and everything. I know some people have been complaining about when ladder season 1 starts up and subsequent ladders, like the grinding of renown. But I don't think those people understand what D2 players have been doing for 20 plus years. When every season restarts, it's like a fresh start. You grind everything all over again. You got to do Act 2 and good God, Act 3. After having done that probably 100 times in my life, like it'd be nice to just be able to skip Act 3 and Act 2 for that matter. But there's still people that do it every season. Starts over fresh, and it's kind of like clean slate, fresh economy. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. We'll see. I've probably put 10 hours into it. And then Final Fantasy 16 comes out this week, so that being my favorite game series of all time, if you can hear my music in the background, it's actually a Final Fantasy 9 soundtrack. That's my favorite one. So I'm going to take a pause in D4 and hopefully find some time this weekend to play a little bit of Final Fantasy 16. Pretty excited about it. I haven't watched too many. I try not to watch too many trailers or read too much about games before they come out so that I can just enjoy it. Kind of figure it out on my own. Watch a couple videos with Diablo 4 and they're talking about like some people are disappointed, like they go into it knowing everything. They already know the story, so they don't want to watch the story as they go through it. They already had their character builds all planned out. Every app that you can think of to plan everything down to the last detail. And sometimes it's just fun to go through it once and not have to know the outcome of everything. But one thing I would like to start doing is maybe do some Pokemon breaks. I'm eventually going to get into PC gaming, something I never really did growing up. My family had a Dell, just a regular tower, but that could play World of Warcraft. I played Diablo 2, RuneScape, but those are like the 3 main games. I'd like to be able to pick up some Steam games that I have had on the list. Maybe start doing some PC gaming, but yeah, it's an expensive hobby too. So I'm hoping that maybe by maybe doing some Pokemon breaks or Magic breaks, I can reinvest some of that money into a PC build and play with some of you guys out there. Been wanting to play Vampire Survivors. I meant to buy that last week when it was on sale. It's only a $5 game, but it's on sale for I think $4. A couple other games that came out. There's one that's kind of like Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley. I think it's called like Sunhaven Saga or something like that. And then Chains of Memory was another one that kind of looks like Chrono Trigger a little bit. So yeah, plenty of games out there I'd like to check out. I know I have a friend back home that does a lot of Steam gaming. I think he's got like 2,000 games that he's picked up over the years, and just like my 1,500 physical game library, I've probably played a third, maybe a quarter of them. Just don't have the time anymore, but hoping as my kids get older, it'll inspire me to play some of those, especially the ones that I never got to play. Alright, last stack here. See if my top loader stack tumbles over. So yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed kind of going through, reminiscing some of these artworks, like the base set ones as I'm going through, base set and jungle. Just bring back fond memories. Just won't ever be the same. Although some of these more modern cards do have some pretty cool artworks and textures and all the alt arts that have come out. Wish they'd bring back, they went from in Vivid Voltage and Shining Fates, they had the amazing rares. I think there were 6 in Vivid Voltage, 3 in Shining Fates, and then they just never did them again and kind of switched to Radiant with, is that Brilliant or Astral? So a couple of those later Sword and Shield sets, they went to Radiant cards, and although those look great too, I just wish they'd do an amazing, maybe do an amazing rare each set or 2. Be really cool to see like the bird trio get the amazing rare treatment, or maybe the evolutions. I don't know, it just seemed like the colors kind of popped. I do have a PSA 10 collection of the amazing rares started. I forget what I'm missing. I think I'm missing Zamazenta is the only one I'm missing. Alright, so we must be at 100 cards because that was the end of one pack. Good thing I bought 2, or brought 2 out, I should say. I will probably this afternoon, I've got a couple chores around the house I need to get done, but then I do plan on streaming some Elder Scrolls Online and then some Diablo 4. I'm going to do my Elder Scrolls dailies on PS5, kind of show you what I try to get done every day. If I can't play very long, I at least try to get logged in and do my dailies. It takes a hell of a lot longer not having ESO Plus right now, because you don't get the craft bag, so that's kind of pain in the ass to have to do inventory management on top of that. But I'll kind of show you what, for the most part, once you buy the game, you don't need to really spend any money if you don't want to. Highly recommend using the 8 free alts, and then kind of show you a tip that you can do to get most of the content just through normal gameplay. You can essentially save up gold, and as people are selling crowns within the game, you can have them buy you the DLC. Essentially use in-game gold to unlock most of the side DLC content. It's just such a huge game. The biggest thing with that ESO Plus subscription is the craft bag, just because it basically gives you unlimited inventory space. And it's tough not having that, but I just don't know if I want to do, $15 a month, even 12 or whatever it is if you buy the full year at once. Just don't know if I can handle another subscription right now on top of all the other streaming things, on top of daycare, on top, man, it's just bills on bills on bills. My wife and I both have pretty good jobs, and it's still like, how do single parents do it? I've always had a huge respect for single parents, but even more so nowadays, where cost of living has just gone up astronomically. Just happy that we were able to get, buy our house when we did. Oh, we do have one first edition here. I might have to go back through and double check. I feel like I've been kind of looking for that a little bit, and same with any Shadowless. Big old scrape. So that's essentially a worthless card, but first edition. Uncommon Jolteon. Always drives me crazy when sets will have one card be rare, and then all of a sudden 2 sets later they're common. Well, this was fun. I'm glad I finally was able to unbox this stuff. Like I said, a lot of this has been sitting in boxes for the last couple of weeks, just haven't had time. And the biggest thing right now is my phone. I have so many pictures of and videos of my kids that I literally have to offload some of my apps now just to keep up with the space. So I either need to get a new phone with bigger space, which is probably what I'll do, or need to get some of those videos onto a thumb drive or something. I'm just always so fearful that they'll erase, and I don't know if I 100% trust the cloud. Dark Charmeleon is good shape. I always remember looking at my friend Chris's binder growing up and seeing that card. So yeah, I definitely understand if you watch The Office, there's, I think it's the finale when they are at Dwight's wedding and Michael Scott comes back and says he has 2 phones and one of them is just for pictures of his kids, and like, I understand that now. You don't want to miss a moment. You want to document everything, but you also got to do something with it eventually, because 64 gigs, you should be able to have some space for videos and stuff. But yeah, eventually I'll get back to like video editing, and that was always fun. A little side hobby. Even if, you know, something got 20 views, you know, a lot of times it'd be 20 views, but more interaction on those 20 views than some of the, I've done a couple shorts that have gotten, you know, 10,000 plus views. And there's just no interaction on those. It's just like, cool. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you gotta do. And then nothing from there, so. Made some good friends in this hobby over the last few years. Still checking on them. They still checking on me from time to time, but just haven't had as much capacity as I used to, and definitely something I'd like to get back into. But I appreciate everyone sticking around and seeing. Yeah, now I'll be getting these into my binders. I'll probably show off a collection of where we're at with my master set. If anyone has any that they'd like to part with, trade, or sell to me, feel free to shoot me a comment, or it'd probably be easier to find me on Instagram too. New Retro Gaming 2 is my handle there. And feel free to shoot me some pictures or a message and let me know what you have. I'd be interested to take a look. But for now, we'll talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in.